My pleasure to welcome on behalf of Town Council to our Town Hall meeting. I'd like to take a moment before we begin to introduce our councillors. We've got Mayor Kim Bakery, Councillor Janet Lett, Councillor John Taddeo, Councillor Wayne Lemire, and Councillor Jody DiFio is on her way. We are also joined by some of our staff members, Erin Gullins, our CAO, Keith Roseborough, our Indigenous and Community Development Strategist. Gotta remember that one. Lori Walton, our Deputy Treasurer, and Roxanne Cox, our Deputy Clerk. So our format for this evening. We'll have shortly Mayor Bakery provide our land acknowledgement. We'll go over the rules of conduct, and then we'll do a presentation from town administration. Hopefully that answers lots of the questions that we know people have. We've had 9 questions submitted and have answers prepared for those in depth. Then we'll have time for public questions and answers until about 8:25 p.m. and a short wrap up and be out of here around 8:30. So Mayor Bakery, may I call on you for the land acknowledgement? Where?
Oh, that's fine. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that we and our guests are on Treaty 3 territory, home to Wabigoon Lake, Ojibwe Nation, as well as many other communities, including the Métis Nation. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contributions of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples have made both in shaping and strengthening our communities and province and our country as a whole. Thank you.
Now, to review our rules of conduct, we ask that you please listen respectfully and allow speakers to finish their remarks without interruption. And please no side conversations while someone is presenting, asking a question, or answering a question. We are attempting to video record this session. The cameras may be getting the front row and council and the presentation screen up here. That will be posted on YouTube afterwards for people who we know are interested in attending but may not be in town tonight. So please keep it quiet in the audience. Please remain calm and courteous, speak respectfully to others, even if you disagree. Personal attacks, shouting, or disruptive behavior will not be permitted and you will be asked to leave. Please wait your turn to speak. Questions from the public will be permitted at the set time. We'll ask you to please raise your hand and we'll come to you with a microphone. And we'll try and limit it to 1 question per person, then return to the end of the line. So if you do have a second question, just put your hand up again. That way we'll get everybody a chance to ask their questions. Finally, we ask that you please keep your questions brief and relevant. Limit them to 1 minute each. And please remember that we can only answer questions related to municipal governance and operations, not that of other companies or corporations. And finally, if council or staff cannot answer a question tonight, we will follow up. We will be trying to transcribe the questions asked by the audience as best we can. Hopefully we can get some of the specifics from the recording afterwards so that we can post those on the slide deck as well and post those answers online. So without further ado, I'd like to call upon our CAO, Erin Gullins, to join me in providing the 2026 update. Uh-oh. It was just love. So as you all know, Ignace is growing. We've got lots of exciting new developments launching soon that we're getting ready to tell you about, including the residential housing subdivision, the NWMO Center of Expertise, KDSB Seniors Housing, and the Deep Geological Repository. We've also got businesses attracting, bringing them to Ignace, and several businesses planning to expand within Ignace. However, a lot of those negotiations are still in the confidential stages, and we will release that information as it becomes available.
Hi, so as many of you already know, we're in the midst of signing a contract with Bruno's Contracting out of Thunder Bay. So Bruno's, many don't know, also builds homes. That is, building modular or sit frame housing to fit the individual needs of people who are looking for housing. We are in communications with them regularly, and we've even asked NWMO to sit with them and have a discussion. Because as we many know that we're gonna have NWMO moving up here. So we're gonna first start with 46 service lots. Though, and when I mean service, I just mean service available, that don't eat the lots, don't actually have services. They're gonna have to first determine whether the lines underneath the ground are actually feasible to continue on with construction. So we're gonna do a pressure test, we're gonna do CCTV can. And then we're gonna have to make a judgment call on whether we want to, if they're in good condition, we're gonna build a road on top of it, along with houses. Or we might have to replace those lines. Replacing those lines are not part of this contract, so that would be additional charges that would have to eventually come from the county. Fortunately, however, the other 213 lots are part of the contract. Those costs will be directly attributed to the people who are purchasing those lots, so those costs will not be passed along to the community. There is also a multi-residential section, anywhere between 4 and 8 apartment or condo buildings that each have 12 to 20 units each. So it's going to provide a variety of options for people, whether they want to continue to rent. Maybe there's people that want to downsize from owning a house and they just don't want to deal with, what's popular right now is dealing with snow or having to constantly maintain homes. So this might be an option for them. And then that's also going to free up some housing for people also moving into here, or free up some of the housing challenges we have in this community. So we're, as part of this agreement also is going to be a subdivision agreement. It's basically just going to determine exactly to what standards he's going to be building. We want to maintain sort of the aesthetics of Ignace having treed areas as much as reasonably possible to maintain while being able to still build housing. It's going to be curbed, paved roads. We're going to have special rainwater or stormwater management systems that's going to allow us to bring the cost of underground, eliminate the underground utilities for stormwater. So we're looking on getting a couple of units built at the end of this year. So you're gonna actually have tree clearing, we're gonna have some model homes to actually physically walk into and physically put your eyes on and see what kind of quality of homes that are gonna be available for everyone to purchase. And these are gonna be available to everyone. And of course, there's going to be private sales and private projects that are going to be continuing to expand. We're going to talk about further the surplus properties, and we're looking on expanding the population. I think this is very vital to this community, as we all know. Costs are going to continue to rise. It's inevitable. So I think the best way to manage this properly is to increase the population so we can spread those costs over more people. Next slide.
Also, I think everybody knows that the Center of Expertise is coming to Ignace. If some of you have been by the town office recently, you'll have seen major changes there since last Friday morning. With a lot of trees coming down as NWMO and their teams start to prepare the site. So that's exciting to see. What we know is that it's supposed to be a 65,000 square foot building. It is located right next to the town office on Highway 17, directly west of it. That Center of Expertise will be an international attraction, attracting visitors from across Canada and around the world, the same way that some groups of people from here got to travel to Finland and Korea and Vienna. International travelers will eventually be coming to Ignace to see our project. One of the things that the township will expect from the Center of Expertise that will be a benefit to the community as a whole is obviously an increase in our commercial tax revenue once that facility is built. Construction is already starting with the ground clearing. It is projected to open in 2028. We will have a joint township and NWO event sometime later this, I don't know, spring, summer, fall. We'll keep you posted when that's coming. And hopefully about 150 head office jobs.
Now, I know this is a very important topic. I've heard it playing lead for many people. This project is still going ahead. So we are working with KDSB to continue on with the building of the 20-unit seniors housing. Rather than the township taking this on, KDSB, who specializes in these sort of services, is taking this on. Right now, they're doing a cost analysis. You will find over the next couple of months some operations on the subject land. They're going to be doing additional borehole geotechnical investigations and additional surveying. In order for them to proceed with that, you'll see the beige area there. They're going to ask for partial usage of the land there beside the Crossroads Center in order to have two exits for two egresses from that property. So this is going ahead. The plan and the anticipated construction is 2029. However, we're going to work with them as best we can to make sure that this is realized as soon as possible.
Finally, as I hope everybody knows, we're excited to be the host community for Canada's first deep geological repository. That will be about 40 kilometers west of Ignace. And as we see on there, it's Canada's first. We have heard from NWMO and they have information posted online looking for a host community for the second DGR, which will be for intermediate level waste. So that is also potentially an opportunity for Ignace in the future. Right now, we have an 81-year hosting agreement that takes us all the way to 2105, which is kind of far beyond when any of us will still be here, but hopefully we can set things in place for future generations to benefit. We've got annual operating payments coming in, milestone payments, support and benefit payments, and placement fees, and we'll go over the specifics of those a little bit later in the presentation. I'll wait for this thing to catch up to the. My slide earlier, and I think I've got two other ones. So because of the development coming to Ignace, we will experience community economic development. So that means, first of all, more residential housing, more people, higher population coming to Ignace, which will lead to jobs that are coming. We'll have stores and restaurants. We know Kevin has announced online that he's planning an expansion along the main highway there. We see that the Burger Scoop has new management signed, so exciting things coming and more to come. Also likely an increase in different accommodations. Once we get people and more kind of basic businesses in town, that will then lead to more service diversity. As more people come, we'll have service providers for personal care, healthcare, tourism, recreation, and those type of jobs as well. Also, if anybody is interested in starting a small business, just like to raise your awareness of a resource that's available is the Patricia Area Community Endeavors. It's our local community futures development corporation. It is based in Dryden, but they will be or are in contact and serving businesses in Ignace. Community Futures corporations offer loans, advice, and support for entrepreneurs and small businesses. So if you need to know how to put together a business plan, if you're looking for funding for a business, you can come talk to me. I serve on the board of directors of PACE, or you can call directly to contact the executive director. Locally, we also still offer several initiatives for businesses through the community improvement plan. So without going through them, they're all on there. If you are starting a business in Ignace, if you own a business in Ignace, if you're looking to start something up, if you're looking to expand, if you're looking to renew your signage or the exterior of your building, if you're looking for land, come talk to us first before you do anything. There is money available through specific wallets that have been set up through our NWMO funding. All the decisions on those applications are up to council to make, but we do have those programs available. Many of them are 50% funding up to a maximum amount. We also have some funding for development for environmental site assessments, planning and for permit fees and the like. So again, if you are planning to develop something in Ignace, please come speak with Keith in our planning department first. Which brings us into surplus property sales. So at the last regular meeting of council, it's 2 ago, council approved 46 lots in Ignace as part of the surplus property sales. The majority of those are in the mobile home park at the south end of town. At the last meeting, a special meeting that was held on Thursday, council approved the sale of 6 of those lots at $1,500 each. And we have houses that North Shore Quality Homes has brought to town already. They're sitting on the public works yard. So if you want to drive by and take a peek at them, those 2 will be moved on to 2 of the lots that they were approved to purchase once everything is finalized. So you will see homes popping up around town already this spring as soon as they get the foundations in place. So for the other properties, the next intake deadline is April 13th. You do need to complete an expression of interest form. Again, come see us in the town office. You can speak with Keith or myself to get that form. You will need to provide that expression of interest and plans to develop within 2 years. So the more information you have, the better, to let us know how this will benefit the entire township of Ignace. You also need to provide a 5% deposit in that sealed envelope with the expression of interest. And now to get into the financial side, we know we've had lots of questions. Sure. Aaron gets to sit down because I'm the treasurer. So financial management is obviously one of the top priorities. We've recently completed the 2021 audit. The 2022 is well underway and we're hoping to finish 22 and 23 this year. In 2026, we will be receiving approximately $6.8 million in funding from NWMO, as well as about $2.35 million in tax revenue to cover our operations. So we know that responsible financial management is essential for long-term community stability, and we are working diligently with KPMG and MNP to get caught up with our audited financial statements and the financial information returns or FIRs that are required by the province. We are working to reconcile our reserve accounts, our NWMO dedicated funds, and developing fiscally responsible budgets. You please stay tuned for the 2026 budget in the next couple of months as we are getting the amounts rolling in for some of the services that we have to pay for from the township and don't have all of that information yet. So as soon as that is available, that will be presented to council as a draft for their review and discussion. We're also looking to establish adequate reserves and investments tied to our asset management plan, which we'll talk about shortly. So essentially that means that instead of just squandering the money that's coming in, we're making sure that it grows on itself so that we have it for future projects. For instance, things like closing garbage dump eventually and all the environmental remediation that comes with a project like that. So we should be able to get caught up with our audits within 3 years. We asked them if they could do 3 years worth of audits this year, and they said no. From MNP and KPMG, they told us they could complete 2. So we're looking to finish 22 and 23 audits and FIRs this year, and that FIR document is an 8-tab Excel spreadsheet with all the numbers in it that's required by the province. Again, we're transferring money to the reserves and the NWMO dedicated funds. We did receive a $4 million milestone payment in December of 2025. And we have requested the $10 million NWMO discretionary benefit, which is specifically for infrastructure projects as a lump sum. So we're waiting to hear back from NWMO about that. One of the reasons for doing that is that instead of just pulling it and asking for money each time we need a project, one of the things when applying for grants is that we have to be able to show the province or the federal government or whichever other funder that we do have the cash to provide our portion. Because that funding is often a 50-50 split or a kind of 70-30 split. So we have to be able to show that we have access to the funds that we need on our side by asking for it ahead of time. The regular annual payments that are in the hosting agreement that come to the town are adjusted each year based on cost of living increase, the CPI. But that $10 million discretionary benefit, the way that it's worded is that it's up to $10 million. So it makes more sense for us to be able to get it now as a lump sum and invested in something that's earning more interest than the rate that our money is depreciating in value, so that it gains wealth and starts building on itself year after year. Next year, we'll be looking to finish the 24 and 25 audits. We do 26, that would almost get us caught up. And then in 2028, we would finish the last 2 years, 26 and 27, which will get us back on target. We're also looking at our long-term asset management plan projections for what our assets are valued at, what the replacement value is, what work needs to be done, what the condition is, and all that information that goes into kind of calculating what we need to plan for as expenses in the future. And all of those decisions are being made to continue to improve the quality of life in Ignace with responsible stewardship for future generations. As mentioned, strategic planning and asset management is key here. So we're looking at expenses for things like road repair, our water filtration and underground infrastructure, the pipes, our wastewater treatment. We just received or will be receiving about $4.8 million. Yeah, that's the right amount. From the province for that grant. That was the one that the minister announced several weeks ago. We will need to plan for landfill usage, facilities maintenance, equipment maintenance and purchases, selling off some assets while they still are worth something. If we're not using something, there's no reason that it should be sitting there. And then again, reserve investment so that it grows year over year. For the past several years, we've only been putting about $77,000 a year away in reserves. Our asset management plan estimates that we should be putting about $2.6 million away every year. So that difference is about $2.5 million. That's what we need to be setting aside from the funding that NWMO is providing to the town so that we're being responsible with that money. On that note, it brings us into the hosting agreement. So that signed hosting agreement is posted on the Township of Ignace website and is available to the public. It shows the detailed payments every year from 2024 when it was signed until 2105. So in total, in 2025 dollars, it is worth $169,962,100 plus a $10 million discretionary benefit. So give or take $180 million, and then that amount will again be adjusted and increase year over year for cost of living. Talked about those things already. So next year we're expecting about $2.2 million from those annual payments, and then 2028 will be kind of pending the milestone for NWMO's submission of the final impact statement and the license to prepare the site application to IAC and CNSC, which are the national or federal regulators. We would be expecting $10.75 million in 2028. Again, most of that would go to build our reserves and towards infrastructure projects. One of the other benefits that funding from NWMO has brought to us is Community Wellbeing Fund. So funding for nonprofit organizations and township projects under 4 streams: arts and culture and heritage, sports and recreation, social and health and environmental and other. So in total, we've had contributions into NWMO, into the Community Wellbeing Fund from NWMO. Since 2019, we've received $1.8 million and we've given away or promised $1.49 million. So we're working to get that list up on the website with specifics of the projects. The amount remaining for grant consideration is about $310,000 at this time. And that updated policy and application form is available online, or you can email me clerk@ignace.ca if you have a project and would like to apply for funding. All of those decisions come before council. So again, it's justifying how it supports one of those 4 areas and provides a benefit to the community. Finally, before we get into questions, I'd just like to take a chance to remind everybody that 2026 is municipal election year. So if you'd like to get general information, if you're thinking about running for council, if you're not sure, please email clerk@ignace.ca or come see me in the office. I can put you on the mailing list to forward you the emails that come from Elections Ontario. They've got lots of webinars online, lots of information online about what the roles and responsibilities of councillors are. Also providing all the information. Nomination period for running for council opens on May 1st of this year, and all nominations must be in by August 21st. I believe it's 2 p.m. I'll have to double check that. And then we'll know, depending on how many people run for council, if there's a chance that more than half of council could potentially flip over to new people, then council currently here would enter what's called a lame duck period, where they can't make major decisions for that period from October 21st until election day on October 26th. Our voting this year, we will be using New Vote again, which is the online electronic voting system that was used twice in the past, once for the 2022 municipal election, and then also for the town vote about the DTR project. And now we have received 9 questions in advance, all from Lisa Ferrara, and we will go through those questions and answers, and then it will be open to the public. So maybe she's asked a question that you're already thinking of. So question 1. I'm interested in updates for the following: financial reports and statements, annual budgets, final budgets, etc. Last update post on the website is for 2021. Please advise when we can expect to be caught up with finances so the township can begin to apply for government funding. We've missed out on funding opportunities for the last few years. We'll update our community infrastructure, including roads. So 2021 is the most recent completed year of audited financial statements. As I mentioned earlier, we are working with MNP and KPMG to complete the 2022 and 23 audits this year, and we plan to be caught up within 3 years or sooner if they can do 3 audits next year, then we'll be back on track. We continue to apply for and be approved for government funding. We will be receiving about $1 million for upgrades to the arena roof and about $4.8 million for our wastewater treatment plant. And we have requested that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing release our annual OMPF funding that as we work to get up to date with our FIRs. I ask that you please review the council meeting packages to see the approved budgets for each previous year and watch for the 2026 draft budget presentation in the coming weeks. We do have a number of grants that have been announced, will be announced. Some things are still in progress and we can't announce them yet. That's another reason for the delay on releasing that 2026 budget, because we need to be able to announce those funding streams from the ministries before we include them in the budget. And we are looking at our capital project expenditures for this year. Now, question 2 is please update us about a town cleanup of defaced and derelict buildings. For example, 494 Pine Street apartment building, Trading Post Texaco, empty plaza buildings, including Family Fair, empty trailers in Trailer Park. Aaron will answer that.
Hi, so 494, there was probably a mistake there. 494 is actually privately owned and still continues to be privately owned, probably referring to the property across the street, which is 405. Currently, the township has reacquired this property and we are looking for viable developers to assess and potentially purchase this property to do renovations, bring it up to a state where people can be living in it. The township does not own the trading posts. There's not much I could say about this at this time. However, we are currently working at finding a resolution to that property. The township owns, and the township does own the abandoned Texaco patio construction property, and we are in negotiations for its development at the state, just recently,
Last meeting.
Was it, sorry?
The last meeting.
So yeah, the last meeting, we brought a expression of interest to council, very exciting possibilities, and we're working with the developer to bring about its remediation and development. Stay tuned. Hopefully, we're diligently working with developers to find an opportunity for them to find a time in which they would be comfortable making announcements. We're diligently working with them to make those announcements. The township recently retained ownership of the abandoned Family Fair and Plaza commercial properties for sale. So we are currently looking for expression of interest for those properties. We've already received one expression. So again, as we previously mentioned, we have developers coming to us, and stay tuned. Other vacant units in the Plaza, North Shore, Chinese restaurant. So yeah, those are privately owned, and we're constantly in communications with the owners to, bring about. I think this is an exciting time, and I think first to market is going to be a strategic advantage to anybody that wants to step forward. Where am I? So yeah, that's okay. We have applied for grant funding to fix the floodplain and other so more people
Stop and Shop.
for Stop and Shop at the Plaza. The township owns numerous properties in the trailer park, and those surplus properties are for sale. And some abandoned homes may be in the process of tax sale, so watch out for those notices coming soon this year or later this year.
Now, question 3. Please update us on where all funds received from NWMO have been spent to support, grow, and beautify our town. Millions of dollars have been received over the years, however, our town is in the worst shape it has ever been. I would be happy to hear how these funds have been used to beautify and improve our community. There has been no new economic growth that will help support and sustain Ignace. How are we addressing this potential? Well, I hope we answered some of this earlier in the presentation. Since 2019, NWMO funds have been spent on community events, youth education and training, community well-being grants to various organizations, operating expenses, and to establish reserves for future infrastructure upgrades, including water, roads, and the landfill. We've purchased needed equipment to collect garbage, maintain our roads, and clean our sidewalks. We've established a community improvement plan with numerous grant programs for businesses to spark economic development. Our public works department repaired all the Christmas lights last year, and we're working to make Ignace a beautiful town to visit and live. There's lots of economic development coming to Ignace and happening behind the scenes, as we've mentioned. Again, many of those plans are still confidential as developers secure funding for various projects and ventures, so stay tuned. Question 4, who maintains the digital sign at the back of the arena? It is outdated. It is not in a good location. I suggest the township parking lot where it can be monitored and viewed by the many tourists who stop in, as well as the general public as they visit the library and the municipal offices.
There is a new digital sign in the front of the rec center that was installed in 2024 and is maintained by the township of Ignace. Our primary audience, it's citizens of Ignace, not tourists, and the sign is clearly visible from the post office and the rec center parking lot, which is some of the busiest places in the town. Local traffic is fairly low to the township office parking lot. Yeah, we could be doing a better job updating it. Unfortunately, like, we're just extremely busy, and I know you probably heard this a lot of times before. There's a lot of things going on in the background, and sometimes we have to make decisions about priority. And I accept the criticism that we could be doing a better job at informing the public. So that noted, we'll be trying to do better at making sure that that is updated.
Question 5. Please explain why the NWMO hosting agreement did not receive input from residents. Why did Wabigoon get a payment for each of their residents, and we did not explore this option as advised from NWMO a few years ago in the early stages of site selection? Can the hosting agreement be renegotiated? I was told it can. So I particularly liked drafting this answer, coming at it as an outsider, new to town, but I'm from a small town myself, and from the treasury side. So the residents of Ignace are represented by Township Council, and Council administration and a legal team were involved in the negotiation and approval of that hosting agreement. And we think they did a great job to secure sustainable funding to support growth and economic development in Ignace for the next 100 or more years. We have a legally binding agreement with NWMO. If Ignace decides to apply to be the host community for the second DGR for intermediate waste, we may have an opportunity to negotiate a separate agreement for that project. However, it's important to understand that this agreement is not a lottery win for individuals. It's a long-term investment in a host community for a nation-building project on an international scale. This project creates opportunities for future generations to live and work in Ignace, rather than taking a payout and moving away to larger centers. This project is one of the reasons why I looked for a job and moved my family to Ignace. Also, if anyone is interested in being directly involved with township affairs, we encourage you to run for council. That's the only way that you really get to have your say, is if you're representing the other citizens of Ignace. Question 6. Please share how you are preparing Ignace in less than 3 years for a multi-million-dollar center of expertise, 200 plus NWMO families relocating to Ignace, as well as numerous contractors that will need places to stay, food, schooling, and healthcare, etc., and how Ignace will be able to support both short-term and long-term needs during the development phases of building a center of expertise and a deep geological repository. It is noted that the township has secured a building contractor from Thunder Bay that will build a new subdivision. How is this being paid for? Who will buy the properties or the center of expertise if the NWMO project does not move ahead in Ignace?
Much of this information has been discussed. New houses and accommodations will be built in Ignace by private developers, not by the township, starting this year. And we are starting major infrastructure upgrades projects. As for the agreement with Bruno's contract, it's important to clarify that the township is selling vacant land to the developer for them to install roads and build homes, parks and neighborhoods. The township is not paying to build houses nor paying a fee to the developer. As for who will buy the properties, the center of expertise, if the NWO does not move ahead, this is out of the township's control and it's risk to the developers and NWO. Who are investing their money in the new construction.
Question 7. Please share if someone is working on economic development strategies to attract new businesses to Ignace to help grow our tax base, so we don't have to pay for some of the highest costs for water and taxes in a community of our size. What is the plan to keep this under control instead of raising this cost to taxpayers? So currently, kind of all of us are wearing multiple hats. The CAO, myself, our outreach lead Jake, and Keith are all actively involved in economic development. We have many potential investors interested in building homes and businesses in Ignace. We've also been awarded Rural Ontario Development Program funding to add an economic development position. So we're in the process of applying to FedNor for additional funding to cover the other part of that initiative. And if anybody's interested in joining the team, please watch for that job ad. As for the water and tax rates, Ignace overall remains one of the most affordable communities in Northwestern Ontario because of our low property values. Our median MPAC assessed value is only $65,000 for a home, and we have a very wide range of residential property values from $3,800 on the low end. That's it, $3,800 to $296,000 on the lake. So 52% of homes pay less than $5 a day in municipal taxes. And that covers everything, all the services that the town provides. Water, sewer, garbage pickup, roads. Everything that is in town provided by the township. Which brings us to kind of a breakdown of property values and municipal tax analysis. So Ignace currently has 667 single family residential properties that require services. So that's excluding vacant properties, excluding properties that are owned by the township, and those that may be missing data on impact. So these are the ones that are paying taxes based on their impact assessments. The lowest impact value is $3,800 for a residential property. The median value is $65,000. The average value is just under $75,000, and the highest is $296,000. So as I mentioned, more than half of those residential properties pay less than $5 a day in taxes. It doesn't even cover the base costs. So one of our biggest costs is the OPP police coverage, which is about $1.09 a day. KDSB Health Services is about 35 cents a day per property. Northern Waterworks is about $2.20 a day. Fire protection is about 34 cents a day. Public Works is about $1.77, so that's clearing the roads, among other things, and collecting garbage. Our recreation facilities are about 69 cents a day. That $6.44 does not even cover the cost of administration, insurance, the town buildings, maintenance, any of that. And those calculations for the other things were divided based on 1,361 total properties. So residential, multi-residential, commercial, industrial, pipeline, vacant land, like everybody who would be covered by OPP, KDSB, water, etc.
Well, I hope you're sending me a check for what I pay you. I pay $5 a day.
We also have a property tax distribution breakdown. So the lowest valued 485 properties in Ignace pay half of the taxes, and the highest valued 182 properties pay the other half for the same basic services. So 72.7% of properties pay half, and then the other 27%, so just over a quarter, pay the other half. So it is quite an unbalanced distribution. 137 residential properties pay less than $1,200 a year in municipal taxes. but 35 residential properties pay more than $5,000 a year based on their assessed value. Finally, question 8, well, I guess we've got 2 more. Please share how our small municipal staff, no economic officer, no planners, no engineers, no lawyers, is going to get our community fiscally ready and property ready for the expected growth, the DGR project. Need for increased services to be able to support the incoming families and workers, when currently there is so much work needed to get our township back in shape financially and structurally. How will you prepare Ignace for the future with or without the potential DGR? And I'm gonna throw this one to Mayor Baker to answer.
The council hired a strong chief administration officer who is supported by a solid team of employees and consultants. They work together to provide strategic recommendations to council to prepare Ignace for the future and execute tasks to get things done. Yes, they handle many things, and sometimes there are delays, but we are skilled as setting priorities and driving the township forward at the same time as our team works to get the township caught up from previous years. The office team is committed to transparency, professionalism, strategic recommendations, growth, and development.
So you can see our team on screen there. In addition to mayor and council and the staff that are here today, we also have Jake Pastore, our outreach and communications lead. We've got Dwayne Densmore, our public works manager, and our team from public works and arena employees. We're supported by the deputy clerk, deputy treasurer, Roxanne and Lori. We've got our tax clerk, Amy. You want to give a wave out? I see. Our accounts clerk, Brandy, our office coordinator, Alyssa, and our rec programmer, Isabel. We are looking to add a project lead, a chief building inspector bylaw officer. Unfortunately, the last one that we had went on to a different opportunity, and an economic development position. We have IT services that are contracted out, as well as currently building inspection services will be provided by RSN Building Consultants. We've got M&P and KPMG working to get us caught up with our audits and financial statements. We have retained Hardy Stevenson and Associates, a team of subject matter experts, to assist us with the DGR project regulatory process and the kind of feedback that's required with an in-depth knowledge of that kind of nuclear side, engineering side, the stuff that we really don't have. We get legal counsel through several different legal offices in Thunder Bay, including Cheadle's, Templeman, and Judson Howie, depending on the issues. So, for example, some things about the DGR and the hosting agreement go to one, contracts and real estate go to a different one, tax sales to a third. Finally, we have Principals Integrity retained as our integrity commissioner. Which brings us to our last submitted question. Please share going forward how the township will keep the public informed and up to date on a regular basis regarding all township business. How will you reach everyone? So for the past several months, we've been issuing Facebook updates following each council meeting. Those are also printed and posted in the community on the numerous bulletin boards, along with posters and public notices for events, activities, land sales, volunteer opportunities, etc. We've also started printing a newsletter that is available online as a PDF, as well as print locations at several locations around town. That's posted at the post office. If anybody would like a copy, come see us at the town office and we'll make a copy, rather than printing a bunch that end up in somebody's garbage and just waste paper and money. If you would like a copy, print it out, please come ask at the town office. Or we normally put them at Silver Tops, at Mary Brooklyn Health Center, at Robin's Donuts, and at NWO. Perhaps at the school too. All the council agendas, the meeting packages, the minutes, and the bylaws are available online at ignace.ca, and you can register for notifications when new items are posted. So you can get on that list, and get a ding in your inbox when we've got a new agenda out, so you can go through and read that package and see the information in there. Sometimes it seems that we don't discuss a lot about some specific issues at council. It's because council has to review those packages and all the information and reports ahead of time, and only needs to spend time in person discussing if there's questions about specific, are a very valuable source of information. We have a website update being proposed for this year to update all the information online as well as increase our website security. Finally, all residents are invited to attend the council meetings in person or via Zoom. And again, review those meeting packages, minutes, and information online. And some of our recent open meeting recordings are posted to YouTube, and future ones will be posted within 2 weeks. Which brings us to time for public questions. So it is 6:51 right now. We could go until 8:25. I don't know if you guys will have an hour and a half worth of questions, but I'll ask you to please raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone to you. Ask that you please state your name and ask your one question. We'll limit that to 1 minute if possible. If you have more questions, please return to the end or give us the microphone back. Put your hand up again the second time to give everyone a chance to speak. If you would prefer to write a question, you can, well, I guess we've got some scrap paper up and you can come and see us and write it down and then I can read it out. We can only answer questions related to municipal governance and operations. You know, we've got some reps from NWMO in the room, but this is the town hall meeting, so ask questions of your council, and were elected in 2022, so it's kind of what's happened in those past 4 years. And if councillor staff cannot answer a question tonight, we will track down that information and follow up. So, who has questions? And Keith will bring you the microphone.
Hi, Brenda Murray. I just had a problem. I'm very upset. Hey, your guys, foul guy, hit my gate, okay? When they did the sidewalks. Damaged my gate. Never heard from anyone. I wrote a letter, why first, didn't hear nothing. Somebody should have come to me right away. Nothing. Then I got it right here, very nervous, sorry, I hate doing this. I'm getting this thing. Okay, my dog got out, because he drove, I don't know. I'm loud enough. Yeah. Okay. The second time you guys have hit my fence. Wasn't fixed properly the first time. And my dog got, you guys left my dog to get out the first time. There was a gaping hole. Okay, they came and put, I don't know who fixed it the first time. My gate never fixed properly then. And shoved this much high snow into my gate. And it's still not proper. Didn't hear nothing from anybody. I came in, I dropped off a letter. Still not. Okay, and then I was gonna talk to somebody, but they were in a meetings. So I didn't hear nothing. And it's like 2 months. Like it's been a long, might not have been quite 2 months. Still didn't hear nothing. Then I seen you in the store and I mentioned it to you. Still didn't hear nothing. I came to pay my taxes. Seeing these two ladies standing outside. I told them. And she said, we talked about that. Oh, I didn't hear nothing. Right? Then there's more. He comes to the store. We're gonna go take a look at it. Left my phone in there. I'm gonna grab my phone. I'll show you pictures of my fence. Okay, when you guys plow the snow in my fence, it's like this. No, that's not right. My fence should be the way it was. I can't even lock my gate anymore. I used to be able to lock my gate because I was scared somebody was going to open my gate. And then my dog would get out. My dogs are kids. I don't have children. You know, you guys have to fix my whole front gate. I want it fixed. And I want somebody that go, oh, I can do it. I want somebody that knows how to do it properly. I want my whole front fixed. And then train somebody properly to clean the sidewalks so they won't damage people's property. I pay taxes. I shouldn't have to come here, miss work, because I have to come here. You know, I can't afford to miss work. I'm a single person. So you guys gonna fix my fence? I'll wait till the summer because I'm more than patient. Since last time you guys screwed up my fence. I'll go show you. I'll go grab my phone and I'll show you pictures I've taken of my fence, and then somebody else can take over. And if you have a chance, take a look at that bathroom up there too. Yeah. It's disgusting.
That's a personal matter, administrative, not for council, so Erin will follow up with her after, directly. Are there any other questions from the audience?
My name is Chantal Tucker. I see on the presentation, there's a slide about the CI, which, I believe Kim and John approved in 2018 in their council. It was a wonderful project, wonderful, proposal. And within the CIP, it had a specific site specifically for, business improvement and for facade improvements. What I wanna know is what framework do you have in place to allow for fair access to those funds? That you know of a business that has tried to get funds from that and have been denied, told that there are no funds available for that. So what I wanna know what is in place for fair access to ensure any business who wants to access those funds has the opportunity to do so.
I guess I can speak to that briefly before if any council members wanted to discuss that after. The projects have to be submitted before they're done, so you can't go do facade and then come ask us for money. It has to all be, the applications have to be submitted beforehand. They are available. You just have to go through the proper application process and then it comes to council for approval. I do know that there was a period of time when kind of council held on everything and wasn't we were kind of waiting to get the financials up to date. But now that we are at that point, we are ready to move forward. Does anybody from council want to provide any more details about that answer? And I was gonna go back to it, because I never got there yet. Are there any other questions from the audience?
On Park, Bruno contractor, they're doing some kind of agreement, is he building only when he finds people in the community that will purchase those private properties?
So the short answer is yes, so that would ultimately reduce the risk. Potentially spending thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build houses on spec would be risky. You can imagine any business doing that would be really risky, right? Not only you're pre-building expecting that somebody's gonna like what you built. Versus having multiple options for people and then them choosing a specific design. Where they would more likely purchase that house, the one that they like.
So really, your agreement that you have with them is not to build a house, is to get people wanting to buy them and then they'll build it. Otherwise, there will be nothing built in there.
Well, that's the way it works everywhere. Nobody builds, 10,000 homes and then expects, people to show up. they have the property, so they can get an assessment, they can do an assessment based upon the demand. On how many people are moving in and then they can, but ultimately it is pre-purposed, so you would, depending on the demand, depending on the availability of work. Those could be built within, there's gonna be modular options as well, so they can be potentially built in 3 months. Right, or if somebody wants to have like a more custom house, that could be, a year, right? So they'll come to him, they'll say, I want this house at this location. And that transaction, they'll make an agreement with their bank or whomever's lending the money, and then once the down payment is made, they'll build that house specifically for that person.
So the township really won't have any involvement in it, except for you giving them the land.
No, so yeah, so we sell the land to him and we have two agreements. So one agreement is to make sure that we want to protect the township's interests. We don't want any land banking. We don't want anybody coming in just sitting on the property thinking that they're gonna be making a good buck in the future and then stagnate the growth here. So we want to incentivize the developer to make money while still protecting the township's interest to make sure that those houses are built. Now, of course, we also want to make sure that these houses are affordable, right? So in order to make these houses affordable, we want to bring down the risk to the developer as much as possible. Without additional strain. Obviously, if the township were to go in and do a lot of the work, including the underground and everything else, right, that would be extremely low risk to the developer as well. Right, but on the same hand, we don't want the township's people to invest their taxpayers' money or monies that they've negotiated in the NWMO to a certain extent for somebody to come in and for infrastructure on essentially adjacent to their land. So we've tried to find this balance. To minimize the risk to the developer, so you can build houses at a very affordable rate while minimizing the risk towards the township and its residents. So we know Bruno's does quite a bit of development in Thunder Bay. The only way that they're gonna make money is by building houses, and the only way that they're gonna be able to build houses if there's a demand. I hope I've answered your question. Okay.
Okay, next question. Keith's gonna bring you the microphone to the gentleman in the first.
Hi, my name is Henry. And I'm one of the upper quarter of the taxpayers. Years ago, I lived out in the oil patch and I saw towns towns that were in a similar situation to Ignace right now, actually. And developers would come in and basically what would happen is a lot of the existing residents. And out west, you gotta remember, a lot of people who are living in towns that are small are retired or semi-retired. That's where they go after they're done farming or wherever they've been working. They're on fixed incomes. Taxes go up, assessments go up, houses double, triple in value. They're sitting there on fixed incomes. The towns need infrastructure, of course they do, and especially in that interim during the transition. The money isn't coming in yet from all these outfits that are supposed to come in and finance everything. I'm not gonna ask for an answer, but I want you folks to keep in mind very much how you're going to shield existing residents in this town from taxes exploding. In order to finance commitments that we gotta make, if we're gonna make this happen, get that. But you have to shield existing people some way or another. I don't know how you're gonna do it. You mentioned a couple things, but keep in mind that mill rates don't have to stay the way they are either. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody from council want to speak to that, or do you want me to? answer that from the treasurer's side. Pass the mic down. Oh, there's the mic right here. Yeah.
I'm pretty loud, so I. No, I agree with you, I mean, and I think we've talked about this before, with the mill rate, is the assessment, right? Everybody's houses in Ignace right now has gone up a lot. You know what I mean, the people's houses have sold, especially the people on the lake, like I was, you know, I said to you there, you want me. Money gets.
Yeah, we need the microphone.
And I agree with Henry. You hear me, Henry? Yeah. I agree with you 100%. We've talked about this a lot. About the assessment going up, because everybody else's houses in Ignace. Has, they've sold houses in Ignace for 3 times what they paid for, right? So what happens, especially on Lakeshore Drive in West Beach and that, those houses now that were paid, that people paid for $125.
Can hear.
Can't hear me? Yeah. Okay, alright, let's see here. What, we've talked about the assessment numerous times, going up, actually, in Toronto, we were there a couple of weeks ago, right? We talked about that because people's houses in Ignace have gone up, tripled, 4 times the value, right? So the next time that people go around to do the assessment, we're gonna get assessed a lot higher, right? So people like me that are living on the lake that are paying $8,000 a year taxes, and my assessment doubles or triples, I'm gonna be paying $16,000 a year on the lake, and everybody else is gonna, their assessments are gonna go up. Their taxes are gonna double or whatever, that's why we have to make sure that we drop the mill rate. So people pay the same amount of tax, right? That's what we're working on.
Yeah. In fact, you want me to speak to this as well? If I think I'll try to keep this short, so MPAC, who does the assessments of everyone's houses, they haven't done their assessments since 2016. So what ends up happening is usually they'll do an assessment every 4 years, right? And then that assessment evaluation over 4 years is divided quarterly, right? So you'll see a little bit of increase every year that's attributed to your assessment value. What is not happening is that reassessment value. So then it looks like your property value stays the same while the township is the enemy, you're having to increase the mill rate to meet the expenditures that are increasing. We've communicated this to the ministers about this, that how unfair it is, because it really puts a lot of stress on council, right? To have to increase costs. So to really get to touch to Henry's point is when that reassessment happens, and there is going to be a reassessment, they're going to assess to whatever date that's going to be. I don't know if it's this year or in the future, right? So you're going to see a huge spike in that assessment value, and at that time, we're going to know in advance. And at that time, all we have to do is balance the budget. So when we're not going to keep the mill rate the same, right? We're going to have that assessment value, and then we'll adjust the mill rate down. So essentially, there is that. Well, we would hope that that gradual increase to meet the expenditure increases that we see year over year. So we are watching out for this. We are talking with MPAC to make sure that we are well informed about when this reassessment happens, and that we would adjust our revenue, our mill rate, to make sure that we're not going to add any burdensome to the community. And I'm pretty sure the council members would not allow us to do that either.
Plus, I think we did talk about that in Toronto too. Remember, we said that the new homes are gonna be valued at $400,000 or $500,000.
Yes.
And the people that move in there won't be able to afford those taxes. That's why we have to drop the mill rate.
Yeah.
So we did watch out for that.
I'll just add to that, from the treasury side, when we do the budget each year, we do have to present a balanced budget. So what we bring in as revenue has to match what our projected expenditures are for the operations side. This year, we're gonna try and keep those kind of NWMO funds, the reserve funds, as a separate portion of the budget so that you can see that that's not taxpayer dollars. That's special funds that have been set aside for specific purchases, investments, infrastructure development. One of the things that happens when council sets the mill rate, MPAC provides us with statistics for the total number of properties in each category. So residential, multi-residential, vacant, farmland, pipeline, commercial, industrial, as well as the total value, the MPAC current assessed value. For those properties, again, as Aaron mentioned, they haven't done the reassessment since 2016, except for new properties as they've come up. So things are a little bit out of balance right now in where some existing properties from 2016 are compared to where some newer builds are. And they really do need to look at that. MPAC hasn't provided direction to anybody in the province of Ontario yet on how they are going to address that. How out of date those assessed values are, but they provide us with the total value of the properties. And we take the amount that we need to collect, so let's say that's $2.65 million, we divide it by the value of the properties, and that's how you get your mill rate, is how much tax it is per dollar value of your property. So if the dollar value of the properties goes up, if we're still collecting the same amount of taxes, the mill rate would come down. I hope that explains it. Next question.
Taxes. You know. Here we are. International. Thing that this is. And 1,300 people down there. I would assume. I voted for that. I was assuming that I would be voting for something that was going to basically subsidize the town. So what we have now is we have two entities here. We have a corporation of the town, yes, and then we have the residents of the. I do not see. I do not see, and I could be blind, that the residents of the corporation are any better off today than we were. I didn't vote for higher taxes. If I would have known that was on the table, I would have voted no. Why would I vote for higher taxes? I don't care. It's a logical thing to do. So here we are. We're supporting a national project. And why should we have to bear the brunt of it? We shouldn't be paying tax, period. That 2.5 million of we're paying in taxes is peanuts. We're paying it anyway. We're paying it on the other end, right? So my point is, the corporation has, they made the deal and everything. I didn't know anything about this agreement when I voted. Did anybody know about the agreement when they voted? I don't know. I didn't. So did we vote on the agreement? No, I didn't vote on the agreement. So I think there's a disconnect here. If you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so how, you know, you can say what you want, but, you know, raise it, and when I go to council meetings, I hear, oh, the county's $2 million in debt. We're overspent $2 million, we have to raise taxes. Well, that's not what I voted for. And if you had a revote today, I guarantee you wouldn't get your 70 something.
I think you said a couple of interesting things. It's just logical. It's gotta go somewhere, so we might as well benefit from it, but those benefits come to the entire town over the entire life cycle of that project. So one of the things from our asset management plan is that we should be putting aside an extra $2.5 million a year towards all the future infrastructure, so that the next generation isn't scrambling and scrounging to try and find $60 million to close the garbage dump and do the environmental remediation and prepare a new site for garbage in 50 years' time. It's instead of living on credit, it's being able to take that kind of seed money investment from NWMO and set it aside so that it starts growing on itself and building wealth. So that in 50 years' time, when we've got major things, or if we've got major water, sewer, septic repairs, things that people don't see, but that cost an awful lot of money, that's going up every year, year over year by 2%, 4%. I mean, look at the cost of gas outside, it's $1.80 at the pump right now. Things are going up, things are getting more expensive every year. We need to put that money aside now, because otherwise there's not gonna be an Ignace in 50 years' time. We need to keep people here now and be able to provide stuff that benefits everybody long term, to be able to have that clean water, to be able to have access to community facilities, to be able to fix the roof where it's leaking in the arena. So hopefully,
So
that
we're
goes
bringing
along.
money aside, like we're not.
So, what about the fire truck, what about the?
With the mic there, about more answers.
Okay, so the way I wanna explain it. Is. We bought a new fire truck. For NW. Okay, but if you didn't have that, then you would have a tax increase.
No.
What he's saying.
You're not tax increase then? What's the thing?
Billions and billions of dollars, we're getting peanuts.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna get trouble here. Actually, you know what, we haven't increased anybody's taxes yet. We haven't done that. We're short, there's a shortfall, correct? There's a shortfall. But I don't agree in increasing taxes, and I think there's a couple other councillors here that don't agree on that increase in taxes either, because the way I look at it is, and I kind of agree with you. We got a whole pile of money that's coming in every year from nuclear waste. That's for the next 80 years, we're gonna get $2 million here for $160 million, I think it is, right? We're also gonna be building this beautiful center over here, right? That's gonna bring in another $2 million a year. We're gonna build infrastructures and homes and stuff like that, that's gonna bring in more taxes. So I think if we don't have to save all that money. We can take some of that money and pay for the operating, you know what I'm saying? Till we get everything built and everything coming in. And I honestly don't believe in raising taxes, that's my opinion on it. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I feel, and I can speak to my husband about this, if we're gonna be putting in reserves, we should have been for all the years before this council came. I don't think this council or the current ratepayers deserve to bear the brunt of all of the infrastructure we need to save for 50 years. We have huge projects coming that are gonna bring in a lot of tax revenue to the community, and I think we can forecast to put those reserves for future and not raise the taxes. I also believe in that.
Next question.
Hi, Chantal again. I had a question about there's like a resounding theme going on right now about accountability of funds, accountability of actions. And I know when I sat on council, one of the most important things for me that I was honestly, it was a struggle to get was like quarterly financial reports that were available to the public to be able to see on a regular basis where things were going. And you know, to have that ability to be able to look at the paper once a month, once every 3 months, to say and go, I don't understand where this money's going. I want to know where this money's going on. You know what? Why wasn't there a round table discussion before this was spent? Because most of the residents doesn't sound like they were for this. So my question is, what can you do to move forward to allow for more financial accountability to the community instead of just once a year and we're in this state now going, well, where are we? There's a big divide between community and council. Where are we to be able to bridge that divide to provide the accountability to not be in this state?
I'm gonna agree with you on that, Chantel. One of the things that we should be able to do, but we can't right now, is to just generate those reports monthly. We have looked at a new system for our financials. We haven't made that transition yet because there's other work that's gotten in the way and taken priority over setting up that new system and actually entering into the contract with that new software provider and going through that extensive program to transfer over the accounting information from one to the other and get everybody trained up on that. So it is coming, but one of the challenges right now is that a lot of things we're still doing manual comparisons. The budget's not in the accounting system right now, just the expenses are. So it is coming.
We also set up plans.
So if council has a question, like, I need to know where we're at financially right now, how do you provide that to them?
We have to go in and manually pull that data.
So can that data not be pulled and put into the council packages for the residents to see as well?
Yes, and it does go in the council packages. It's quarterly reports.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I have a quick question. You said no taxes. My impression last year is that you guys raised the taxes last year and then put some of it over to this year. That's a tax increase, no? Am I wrong on that? That you guys increased taxes last year and then put some of it over to this year?
I voted no for a tax increase.
I didn't ask you what you voted. I asked you if I was correct. So it was 3% last year, 3% this year, but then you just sat there and said there was no increases this year. That would be an increase this year.
I was speaking for myself. I don't believe there should be a tax increase.
In the future, let's stop trying to cut gears. Because everybody seems to cut gears. And I'm gonna steal Mike for one more moment because I'm a little upset about this $9,000. And I talked to council about it at the time it happened. And it's the first time I'm aware that private citizens got $9,000. They've got council members voting to go put themselves on the trip. So let's stop splitting hairs a little bit, right? Like honestly. If you didn't vote for tax, if you didn't put taxes up, you didn't put taxes up. If you put them up 3%, you put them up 3%.
To clarify
There's
what
no
he's talking
tax.
about, this council approved $9,000 for the grade 12s to go on safe grad trip. These were grade 12s that were denied a educational excursion to the township or through the school. Through COVID, they did not go to Toronto. As their last wish for a graduating safe grad, they asked council to meet them with their fundraising to be able to go on a fly-in fishing trip. Through it was not a not-for-profit, but they were a community group is how I voted yes for them.
Private citizens, correct?
They are a community group, Greg. You are welcome to your beliefs and I am welcome to mine. Thank you.
This was Malin, with the infrastructure that will be done, is that going to include looking into the areas that have been notoriously plagued with freezing for winter times, like World Place and stuff like that? And also, there is this need for the other bridge to be done. Is that going to be done?
Please, can you say that last part again?
The bridge side that the post office was be done. The other one will have to be done. Is that in the works also?
So trying to stream with that, farm to the post office.
You mean, yeah, just time. Yes, you just said that. She said the bridge on the post office was redone. Are there plans to redo the bridge, the other bridge on Pine? That was the question.
Doesn't need it.
One of the West Street was done. You want to say?
Yeah.
So, to answer your first question, regarding the water infrastructure, so we, are gonna go out to tender to find a consulting firm to, identify, and I know we know where these locations are, or problems locations, but, we're gonna hire this consulting firm, they're gonna identify all the different locations where there's problematic freezing. And then they're gonna identify solutions. Those solutions are gonna be brought to council as a report. And council will, there'll be recommendations and options to mitigate or hopefully solve some of these long-term problems that have been plaguing the township for quite some time. And then once we have an idea of there's gonna be options, obviously, it's gonna be like full rebuild. It might be just dig up half the road and install insulation. There's gonna be some options there. Council will be provided with those options. And we'll move forward with resolving some of those issues. To answer your second question, so in fact, it was Pine Street that was repaired several years ago, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, you're talking about West Street near the post office. So as part of our long-term asset management strategy, we're gonna be doing a regular structural inspections of this to make sure, because there's obviously, if you can catch some of these issues in advance, you can mitigate a lot of the expenditures. So that is a good point that we should have we're gonna look into that to find out when the next time to do an inspection on those culverts. And we'll find a solution on making sure that we don't lose access from the north to the south.
So why do we need to spend money again to do it?
So that is part of a maintenance program, so it's actually a requirement that any structural culverts are inspected regularly. That is one of the issues with having bridges or structures that are over 2 meters, is that you require constant, you need a specialist, a structural engineer to do the inspections, because nobody else can really do that.
At least he's not saying we're going to do it again, he's just gonna say we're gonna keep up on the regular maintenance to hopefully avoid that kind of catastrophe in the future.
Yes, thank you.
Before they came to council for $9,000 to break 12, so did they try any fundraising or anything that I'm not aware of anything? They used to have bottle drives and whatnot.
Yes, they
Nothing
have.
that I know.
Yeah, they have, and they will continue to do so. And every time they raise money, that request number will go down and down and down until the time of departure.
Well, how come they never came to my house? You want to read it?
I'll send them your way. I don't know, I'll let them know to stop at Joe's.
I'll hop in and say, the rest of the cans are stored in my garage, so if anybody has more, drop them off in my.
And I believe they're continuously selling pierogies, shoveling snow.
They did a spaghetti dinner, they did some designated driving last weekend.
There a means test? Any means test at all? When you got kids, their parents are making $150,000 a year going on a cruise ship. They got all my help the kids out, I'm good, help keep the money. So my next question is gonna be, open it up, open it up.
I can add one thing, there are specific funds through NWMO and through the Community Wellbeing Fund, we have been given money specifically to invest in youth education and training. Part of this is going towards investing in those youth, so hopefully they stick around and become the future leaders of Ignace.
Chris here. Under economic development on your website, available properties, have you guys tested that? I've been waiting about 4 days now and I still can't get in. And neither can other people, or do we have to come to the town and you print off all the properties for us? Cause April 13th is coming. So I'm out 4 days already.
Keith will answer that, he's behind you. But that list of properties is in the last, in the meeting minutes, there's that list of 40 properties, it's posted, at the town, office, it's posted at the post office. And it's posted, I believe on the bulletin board in the arena here as well, but he can add more.
Yeah, so definitely come and see me at the township office for those for that information. Currently, that link to the website is currently broken and it's being repaired. So hopefully it's up working very soon.
Hi, I'm Tracy Stanley. I want to just go back to the housing issue again. Every time I look on Facebook, there's no availability, anybody have anything to rent, there's nothing here to rent. My question is, where are the people gonna live, the ones who come here, the 150 people who are coming to work on this center of excellence? Where are they gonna live? They're not gonna buy a property and have a house built if they're just here to work on the property, on the center of excellence. So where, is there a plan for where these people are gonna live while they're here?
Okay, good. Go ahead. That was right.
Well, okay, so yes, we understand there's like, myself, I've been here for nearly 2 years, I'm currently looking for a house, I understand. That there is a housing problem. So we know that there's a housing problem. There are gonna be some, I don't wanna say transient, people that are just coming here to build homes, so. Part of this, this one group that's building modular solutions, you're gonna start seeing some housing popping up. I think they're assessing whether they're gonna sell them or rent them out. I think we're sort of one degree of separation from their decision-making process there. However, without getting into too much information that I can, the subdivision, that's one of Bruno's priorities, and he understands, he's a very shrewd businessman, he understands that he's gonna be investing a whole bunch of money here, building those apartment or condos, I think it's apartment buildings, but that might change depending on how he assesses the market. That again, it could be anywhere between 6 to 12 buildings that are gonna have 12 to 20 units. So there's gonna be, and this is part of, I have it in the NRFP as phase 3. Part of that negotiations with him is he actually wants to move that and get going on that right away. So you can see, some construction clearing this year, and he's gonna start building, hopefully those apartment buildings this year.
Hi, my name is Margaret. I live on West Beach, right? And I always feel that we're a little bit neglected on that side of the township. I just wonder, there's so much stuff in the ditches, some of the ditches are very high. And I'm surprised that not anybody ever went down into those districts because there's no markers, nothing to say that you should watch. And so I was just wondering if you guys have any plans to beautify West Beach Drive.
We are now. No, all in seriousness, we do have a plan to understanding like even West Street, there's some ditching that goes along there. We wanna make sure that, water is traveling properly. We don't want any standing water. And yes, we understood previously, I know Public Works has put more emphasis on making sure some of the streets that have been, I don't wanna say ignored, but maybe forgotten, to put more emphasis. I know he's put an emphasis on getting streets cleared. I know West Street was one of the ones that was forgotten for a day or so. No? But you're talking about,
I'm talking about Salwood.
yeah, so, yeah.
And also makes a road that was,
so,
surface, that's all coming loose and being washed away.
okay, so the sidewalk machine that we have, it has a sickle. So we can cut grass that's long, but we can also repair you're talking about repaired shoulders that are being washed away. Yeah, so when, and I'll speak to, we have a managers meeting every Monday, and this will be one of the topics that I bring up to our public works manager. He has a plan to do a lot of repairs on some infrastructure, but also one of his backgrounds is doing this kind of work, so I will bring it to his attention to put his eyes on West Beach, along with other roads that have adjacent ditches, and just to make sure that that they are in good condition.
The other thing was to all those dead trees that are on the opposite side where we are doing it. That's really getting bad, because with all this wind we're gonna have, I was walking the other day, and all of a sudden, pretty half of the branches came down because they're all dead. And it's really, not only that, it got dangerous and they all fall in the ditch, so the ditch now is all full of their and stuff.
So, yeah, that has been a focus. So recently we had all our guys trained as chainsaw training. I know it's not an excuse, but this is one of the requirements. So we have been in several areas clearing the dead growth. And again, thanks for bringing it to my attention. I'll bring it to Public Works to make sure that he puts his eyes on it, and we'll take down any problematic trees that might be damaging to cars or.
I think we can be cognizant of what is township
Yeah,
property
yeah,
and what we are responsible for clearing. I think a lot of that is privately owned or crown land, so I don't know that it would be the responsibility of the township to take care of that. We should notify the people that it's crown land and private land.
No, she said notify the people who own it, so they can take care of the debris. My last sitting was the last meeting, just beautiful, push it forward. Turn this back. Yeah, I'll be done. Hi, I'm Sophie. I understand you. A house. Where are these people going to find a full-time job with a family to support themselves in Ignace? We have no industry here, the sawmill is closed. I mean, the only thing I can think of is pumping gas. But where do we find jobs?
well, well, NWMO, I mean, there's gonna be, we're hoping all 180 moving to Ignace, spring point. They're right there, put pressure on them. But I mean, so there's opportunities, right? So as more people move in, there's gonna be opportunities. There could be potentially people who are carpenters, right? Those carpenters will be contributing to the building of houses. Some of them might be have other trades that would be suitable. Some of them might be entrepreneurs. They might have, for somebody, I keep saying it over and over again. I hope there's a dry cleaner that comes here, because I had to drive all the way to Thunder Bay. So if you want to open up a dry cleaning place, I'd be grateful. I'd be your best customer. But there's going to be other opportunities. So like I said, there's much more stuff happening in the background here that we are not in a position to announce. But you're gonna start seeing some secondary and tertiary economic impacts coming here, where, you know, significant others are gonna be bringing their knowledge here and have an opportunity. They're gonna see a niche market and explore some options through PACE or some of the other opportunities that come here to explore filling in some of the services that we don't have here in town. Dentists.
Yeah, and the people that will be coming to work at the Center of Expertise will have high-paying jobs. They will be usually either from Toronto area, and they have established high-paying jobs, or there will be jobs created for the project, not necessarily people building. There will be that offset of additional jobs that will go along with building the Center of Expertise and additional services required, but there will be jobs on site that will be high paying jobs. So as part of that, so they'll. Yeah, yeah.
150 years.
Yeah, it's 150 year first. But the jobs that when we talk about the Center of Expertise having 150 office spaces, those office spaces will be occupied by NWO staff. And as we're trying to do that now. I mean, like most of my team is employed locally, but I mean that we're just hoping to continue to do that as there's those jobs come up.
So what is that number right now? Like,
How many jobs that we have locally? Yeah, around 20, I would say right now. But again, as things come up, we're posting locally, we're trying to hire locally, so that's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, basically. Yeah. But right now, like, you know, I think there's people that want to, there's interest in employees that are seeking an opportunity to buy houses, so. I know there's an interest, it's just a matter of the timing, I think it's the time thing, like we just need things to catch up, is all.
It's like a chicken and egg, right? The developer doesn't want to start building homes until there's a demand, but yet there's not going to be really a demand until there's houses. So we're trying to figure out how this is sort of working in behind the scenes to make sure that we can both have both of those opportunities available, and then they can talk to each other and realize the potential that's here.
And the expectation, I think, currently is we're kind of getting for 2031. Like this bill that the township has to do some of that work. So I think as we're hiring people now, we have to for around 2031 is kind of plan.
Aaron. Right here, Daryl Tucker. Oh, yeah. These, okay, the new apartments that are coming up, apartments, condos, wherever you want to call them, where are they going to be located?
you have the map.
But it's actually it's so it might be
Right across from the school.
yeah, essentially. So there's that property as you go down Davy Lake Road. It's on the north side of Davy Lake Road between the first row of houses. I guess it's Carlton Place, right across.
So the subdivision that's in the back, all those service lots are in the back, they got the church and all.
No, you know, the smoking areas at the school there?
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Right there.
Hey, for the new subdivision, service lots, did you say something about a risk assessment or a hazard assessment before those lots? Did I hear you correctly earlier?
Yeah, so the bidding process, we have to provide like a definitive, right? We have to say, we can't say you might have to rebuild the infrastructure. So in the bidding process, we decided that and at that time we well, I guess I made the decision to say it's fine, and then if we're gonna do testing, so we're gonna do CCTV, we're gonna run basically a robot down to make sure that it's, you know, not undulating, and we're gonna close the valves and do a pressure test, so pressure drops and we'll know that there's leaks there. Because but you know, it is PVC piping, so it should be fine. But you know, we can't really do that until we get to that spot. And I just had to make a judgment call because I wanted to get this out and in the developer's hands as quick as possible to
Understandable, but, so you made that judgment call.
yes.
Is that something that should have went before council? Or something that you could do on your own? That's just a.
So, well,
council.
Council's job is to do policies and approve budget. So this was a judgment call, that operational call, yes. With, I have an engineering background.
Okay, oh yeah, well, okay, great.
Yeah.
Good for you. So this risk assessment or risk analysis, are you doing like slopage, drainage, compaction before before the developer comes in to develop these properties? Who's gonna foot that bill for the assessment? Is it gonna be the taxpayers, or is it gonna be put to the contractor, which is gonna increase the properties? And then you're gonna have to sell it for more.
So we're selling it as is, where is, right? So except for the infrastructure, because we had to say what that infrastructure is good enough to use. And it still could be good to use. So all he has to do is dig up the underground road, tie in the saddles to get his service lines, and then start popping up houses. So all the construction that is done, the roads, the curbs, the asphalt, the storm water, everything, the electrification is all on the homeowner. So they'll say, you know, say it's roughly $2.5 to $3 million per kilometer to do all that work. It's probably less because we're not doing stormwater. That's going to be divided up amongst all the properties. So the actual property owner is going to be purchasing the house, paying for the infrastructure that's being placed. Yeah.
Hello, my name's Ted. Can somebody tell Mother Nature not to snow on the weekends? So we don't have to get our roads cleaned. It's a good thing that the MTO was doing the highway route. We'll be able to shut down here every time it snows. Don't come back on that. So, why is it not done? Why is it not done the weekend?
Right. I mean, you want me to answer that one?
Somebody, a lot of people paying for services, they're not receiving it on the weekends.
So the services are actually, so part of the collective agreement is to, huh?
Who is the collective agreement with?
QP. So that is the union that
It's So does that, is there an opportunity then for the township to be looking at private services or contracts, perhaps to be able to give local workers an opportunity, because now people are going out and clearing and doing driveways and so on in properties. Would there be an opportunity to provide services, maybe to bid for contracts?
So that the township, I mean, we normally when we come to council, we assess what the level of service that we want. So of course, if we want to increase, unfortunately, we're seeing snow on the weekends and.
So that's going to happen every year.
So if the township people want that level of service to have these services on the weekend,
right?
There is going to be an additional cost associated with that. So right now they're only paying for services that we are getting at the moment. So if we want to increase the services, then there's increased expenses, right? So if the township wants to increase the level of service, with expenditures, we can certainly accommodate that. I could probably be certain that, the services, having a private company do it would probably be more expensive. However, you know, if I would ask if you probably go talk to your council members and say that you want that level of service to be increased. We can certainly do that. I mean, if you want, you know, your grass cut on your lawn, I mean, we could probably do that too, but I mean, there are additional expenses associated with the additional work.
Well, if you're gonna cut my grass, you're gonna put that on my back every time.
Yes.
That's what exactly, so.
So, I mean, and that's the,
Well, not grass cutting is not as much to see people's vehicles. The safety of public roads.
yes, so I mean, and if the township wants to have those services, we can accommodate, certainly. I mean, we come back, we say, here are the expenses. You know, we try to increase costs, and we've already talked about not wanting to increase taxes, so there's.
You're hoping you're gonna get this MTO, you guys are hoping you're gonna get this, you're hoping this. Hope doesn't cut it.
So we would like to look at the opportunity to be on something in town. We have not been very active. We provide services, essential services with towing services. And we deal with people that are obviously not in the best times. They reach out to us in times of need, obviously. So road conditions, we're extremely sensitive to. We see it on a regular basis. Of all sorts of different circumstances. People are having, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people having different circumstances and damages to their vehicles. Having disruption or safety issues and concerns with traveling on the roads. With water clearing, parking and draining. So the clearing and maintenance is, we all know how important it is. And I just want to all the different services that get lined up behind it, the drainage and everything else.
Yeah.
So we all feel it. So understandably, okay, there's boundaries and restrictions with QP. But to have, you know, everybody would benefit, everyone at every level would benefit to having weekend services. Mother Nature doesn't wait for any of us.
I agree.
We all feel it.
I agree.
So people are reaching out to whoever's gonna have a truck with, you know, a blade on the front to do snow removal, whatever it is. And people will go ahead and pay out of pocket to have that kind of thing taken care of. It's prioritized where people are feeling that they're seeing value for their dollar. If there is an increase in any sort of taxes happening, they wanna see, like any of us as a consumer, want to see value for your dollar. In anywhere that we go, in that exchange for money, we'd like to see some sort of level of service and value for our dollar. So if we're gonna be seeing an increase in our taxes, what is it that you're seeing in service in return?
Absolutely, and I agree with you there, and we're constantly having discussions with the council. To determine what that level of service is appropriate. You know, some people are really happy with having lower services. Some people want higher services. So it's really finding out what that balance is and being able to hit that sweet spot. Because unfortunately, like there are costs associated. Contractors are constantly driving down the road with their blades up in the air, right? So nobody can really work for free, especially with gas prices that are the way that they are, right? And we're always available to increase the level of service. It's just a matter of finding out what that appropriate level is.
All right, Tim Barker. I was excited to hear about the funding for this building for the arena and the repairs, and I'm excited to see what happens with that. But as a member of the gym downstairs, one of the many people in this town that use it for both mental and physical health, I was wondering, because I heard about the wedding that got canceled, like the rental and stuff like that. What's the impact on the gym? And is there going to be a time that it has to be closed for the repairs and such? Just so some of us can prepare for that over the summer and such, you know?
Okay, so we're about to go to tender, we'll get some pricing from the market. To do the work, and then that will come back to council because, you know, especially given, you know, so there might be, you know, decision, it might be, we might come back with that and it might not even proceed, that is another option. However, to answer your question directly, we estimated because of a big portion of the work is the roof, that it would be unsafe for anybody on sort of having that adjacent to or having you know, items fall on their head. We don't see that the gym will be greatly affected by that. There are one of the proposed options that we are working towards is updating the lights with LED to bring down. So there might be some disruptions in terms of you know, having to shut off the lights to make sure that they're working safely, but that is pretty much the extent of what's gonna happen at specifically the fitness center.
I'm not really cognizant of how a township works and all that stuff, but I look at it as a business. And if we take NWMO out of the equation, we take all the taxes out of the equation, I hear lots of stuff. What do you guys do to generate money? I haven't heard anything. Like we have an arena that's hardly ever open. And I hear hockey teams can't get booked here because nobody works on the weekends. We have a skating function for kids that happens in the middle of Halloween. Like, seriously? What kid is going to go to a skating event during Halloween? How many do we get? Anybody know? 3? It should have been the next day when they're all high on sugar and we can bring them down on the Sunday, but was it closed? I don't know. Like, this area is prime fishing. We have fishing derbies for kids, but national fishing derbies where it's $10,000 pot, like you're getting 400 or 800 people here with their boats. We don't do that. I don't understand. Like that would generate revenue, and that revenue you can put on a spreadsheet and say, "Hey, Sophie or somebody, your taxes go down because we just generated this money." We're not doing it. I don't understand.
Answer this one. That fishing derby is a great idea. We need to look into that. As a municipality, we're limited in the types of business functions we can perform to generate revenue. We are in the process of looking at all the service fees though for the different things that we offer, and it's finding that balance between the cost to offer services and programs and the cost to run it with facilities and employees. So it's finding that balance. We're always looking for other options and ideas to bring more things to town, but they need to be able to break even. That's, you know, we don't want to be taking a loss on everything. One of the things that will be coming, council approved last year, I guess in theory, was the municipal accommodation tax. So that's a 4% tax on every hotel or short-term accommodation, campground rental that we have to give 50% of that money to an established tourism organization, and then we can keep the other 50% in Ignace, which could be used then for those programs and stuff. So that we're in the process of negotiating that agreement with Sunset Country Tourism Association. And then we'll put that into the hotel rooms this year to try and again get those funds from people who drive through Ignace and stop here and, you know, use our services and then keep going along the Trans-Canada Highway. If we can get them here and keep them for a day or two and get some dollars out of them to our local businesses, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And it's lots to be done though, and trying to play catch up and bring those things into town.
And those particular dollars go right back into recreation, which then promotes the programs you're talking about.
Sorry, what?
At the right time, not on Halloween night.
So.
I think it was actually-
And bring
I think-
the fast forward, like, what date is it today? March.
I don't know.
23rd.
The day after.
I think, tell me,
Right?
November first.
The day after.
Anytime.
I'm not the only one to figure this out.
Here, call me. Okay, yeah.
You guys take care of the library? There's another one.
Library has a separate board, but we are part of that, so.
Yeah, they do bingo for kids, but only 8 kids. Well, why bother? There's more than 8 kids in town.
Well,
That's the challenge for every organization though, it's getting people out and it's the same people involved in the same things a lot of the time. So then it's weighing what's the cost benefit.
quite often, I think the best thing for the recreation is people actually supporting it, you know, quite often. Quite often we'll have like, you know, $2 skating where you pay $2 and go skating, nobody shows up. But if it's free, everyone shows up, right? And we're talking about $2, right? So but despite that, we still try to offer as best as we can to keep this facility open when we can. It's always finding that balance between providing services and just not letting expenses run amok and having to go back to essentially council and you guys to ask for more money, right? So and that's the other thing too, is when we have more people coming up here, we might have somebody that's interested in martial arts, for instance, right? So somebody might come up here and want to teach martial arts to children, right? So then we'd have all of a sudden a new service that's available, right? We'll start getting rental income from people providing that service, and then more participation from not only youth, but maybe some adults as well. So I think once we start growing, more stuff might be happening. I'm certainly hoping so. And we're looking for every opportunity to provide those services here.
Back to the snow again. You brought it up that you don't have snow service in the weekend. That was supposed to be taken care of many years ago. I look at the council up there, it's either 2 people that have been there for a long time. It was supposed to be taken care of, that in the winter months, it's supposed to be 7 days. You were supposed to rotate the workers for the weekend. It was taken care of many years ago. Every time you change councils, you shut it back in the back 40. So this is an ongoing battle. And it shouldn't be. You say, it snows every day. And get that, and there's another issue, but they got that solved already. But the snow, it was supposed to be taken care of 10 years ago, 6 years ago. We still have the same problem that people keep forgetting about it. There's always have enough public work, Monday to Thursday, Thursday to Monday. You can rotate them, you don't have to add up the costs. It don't take rocket science to figure that one out.
You want me to address that? I mean, I already did.
Next question.
Rather than just being, what we'll do is coming up on this next budget, we'll say, okay, this is, we've heard from the public that this is something that, the public wants, and we'll provide that as an option to council. And we'll estimate what that looks like. We can estimate what that's gonna look like in terms of costs and we'll go from there.
There won't be no cost involved, because the Monday, we work for
So-
a week.
So
You got 6 people over there working, you have 4 people on from Monday to Thursday, and then Thursday to Monday is their 4-day schedule week. Aaron,
Take them around every 2 weeks.
can we look at the collective agreement that the
So I can confirm that the collective agreement doesn't allow that.
That's great. We have to negotiate.
It's a 3-year. But that's only for the winter month only. In the summertime, you go back to Monday to Thursday.
So the collective agreement's readily available.
And it was like that before.
How about let's go take a step, another 2 steps outside of the circle. It's not just about snow clearing on the road. Leaving that aside. What is the bigger cost that could potentially be involved? Of this any of the drainage issues? What costs are associated with the snow and ice that look on roads not being cleared?
So I has anybody been to Thunder Bay recently?
Yeah.
So actually,
I would say those roads are a lot worse than ours.
let's see. You know what? I come from an engineering background.
Okay.
Okay. You have to look at things in sequence and plan. There's a lot of hoping that I'm hearing out of your mouth. Planning, thinking, maybe. I came up here 2 years ago, hoping to open a business up in the strip mall. Hoping that on the main drive here, that all these different openings. You come in with fresh new eyes. Hoping to open a business, hoping to run classes. Hoping for all sorts of different opportunities. It's not here. The model that is here, unfortunately, is broken. And everybody is feeling the constraints and the pinch of not having various services and things available. It's breaking down. And it's unfortunate and it's heartbreaking. And everybody wants to see a little bit of glimmer of hope, not this is gonna be a few years there. All these separated projects are fragmented. They're not sharing a good sequential timeline of this is what this one's gonna happen, then this one falls into line and this and this. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. And different projects that are not integrated and connecting together to say this one's gonna happen, this will feed into this and this will feed into that.
I'm sorry, I just don't share your opinion on that, so.
Oh, but that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
That's evident.
I think the lady back there had a question.
So thing about the snow. It goes the same way with our beer problem in the summertime. We already got that taken care of. I hopefully. Maybe the new council don't understand it. They're supposed to be all taken care of.
So the collective agreement requires that we pay time and a half for weekends.
So get away from that.
You can't just
But
eliminate.
you gotta, they're scheduled for a 4-day week. You can schedule a 4-day week.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I'm very grateful to be here tonight, and I appreciate that everything that we do, your job is not easy. You've got to fix it all. You have jobs during the day and learning as you go. So thank you very much for tonight and providing a lot of updates and information that I feel were long overdue. And because we appreciate, I don't go on social media, I don't go on Facebook, and I appreciate getting something, maybe with my water bill or whatnot, or having a forum like this. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. One of my six potential that on the one point about NWMO and the hosting agreement and the potential for a little bit of an opportunity for residents to receive a little bit of payment. It's not about a lottery for me. What it was meant to be was we're all in this together. And there was an opportunity, I thought, for some of our people that won't be around when this project starts. Beyond the next 5 to 10 years, and all I thought was, okay, if other communities were offered a potential of say $5,000, one of our seniors could get in the group, or beautify their own home, and being a part of the project and saying yes, that would be a little rewards to help them beautify their home, because they won't see the benefits 100. 20 years down the road or 100 years later. So that's where that came from. It wasn't about a lot or us getting rich from it. That awful. My one question that I have is with the mill closure, is that affecting the contributions, I know all businesses that come into our community provide some sort of revenue to our community, help us to meet taxes and whatnot. Is the mill closure a big, eyesore that's hurting our tax base as well? Or is that not so big, or?
The mill doesn't pay taxes to the community, but it does help support events in the community. And it has 19 employees that are from the community. So I don't wanna say it doesn't hurt the community because it does. But as a business, they don't pay taxes.
Okay, I'm curious, like a mine.
Yeah, the whole map has a bite taken out of it where the mill is. We have to go back a few years and figure out who took the bite out of the map.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've been curious about that as well.
Are there any further questions?
To beautify the corridor. Because coming through town. I mean, there's hanging flowers, nothing. Gotta be something, take somewhere, you can raise money and spend it on the corridor.
Council, here's your suggestion.
Hi, Greg Murray. I must be a relative of Brendan Murray, but things are really happening, I guess. I think it's really critical that the general public get as much information as possible, so I guess I'm advocating a paper copy in the mail. I think a lot of people agree. Thank you.
I actually like Lisa's idea of sending them out with the water bills, because then we don't have to pay postage again. Looking at it from the treasury side, so maybe we can add an extra page in there.
Do again. And I wanna say that, I understand your jobs. Your jobs too. Been there. And, I think that generally speaking, that, you're doing a good job. Very simple.
Thank you.
And tonight, I learned a lot. Learned a lot last Friday as well. I got educated pretty good Friday. And I appreciate that.
What's your name in?
Suicide. Kevin Tucci. Whoa. Good question about financials. So you said that it would be all updated by 2028. What's the reasoning behind why 2028? I know it's a counting problem, but like the accounting firms are giving you that schedule. But what's their reason for the holdup? Is it budget? Is it manpower? What is it? I just want a better understanding of it.
Yeah, good question, because it's what I was pushing to, can they finish 3 this year and 2 next year, and then we're up to date in 2 years rather than 3, so. This year so far, I mean, fingers crossed, knock on wood, the 22 audit has been going faster than I think we anticipated or they anticipated. So we're hoping that they can get that 22 done and get the 23 started without delay, and if 23, if every successive year post-COVID is easier, the financials are a little more in order from when there was actually staff in office, then things move a little bit faster and we get caught up to date sooner.
So manpower. Right?
Yeah, it's
Basically
what they can devote.
manpower on our end or manpower on accounting firms?
On the accounting firms end.
And there's no way of them getting any more manpower, like if we were to, like we were gonna be flipping that bill anyways, regardless, right? If it's done tomorrow or it's done the next day, it's still the same. Well, it's probably cheaper actually when you add inflation.
Yeah, it's tax season.
Yeah.
This is our number one priority right now, is getting.
You can't run a town without financials. You can't run a business, you can't do anything. You're going blind.
Yeah.
Totally blind, right? So
Yeah.
I don't, it's very, very difficult for sure for the town to do that.
Yeah, like, and it's not just Ignace, there's a number of, especially in northwestern Ontario, that are all behind. I know, I mean, it's public information, I think it was Atikokan just finished their 2022. Right, so they're behind too, like there's a number of communities that are behind, I think. Being smaller communities and being not having the resources, and then COVID happening where you can't have that interaction that you need, certainly made things really difficult for not only this township but many in the area. We are diligently working towards getting these done. I think just today we found out that they're working on our assets. So it could be potentially a month. I don't know. We have regular updates with them. And this is given that it is tax season as well. So we told them that we need their resources working on this as a priority, because not only are we getting heat from the community, we're getting heat from council, but it's also the ministries that are really breathing down our necks as well. So we're feeling it from 360.
I'll just add to that, we have continued to apply for grants and be successful, and it's, right now, it's like, what other funds can we apply for? What other programs are out there? Cause there's money to be had, it's just to put those applications in as much as we can. We might as well ask, if we don't ask, we don't get it, so everything that we can find, we're throwing an application at it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We are at 8:16. Going once? Oh.
I'm just gonna say about the plane. Last year, I was told that you guys had plans to upgrade that upgrade that airplane. And I was told that I was going to be taken in the fall into this business who was going to fix it. It's still there, still looks terrible.
That it wasn't approved at that point, that expenditure, but we applied for funding for Rural Ontario Development Program funding to provide a little bit of funds towards that, because it would go a long way towards fixing up the plaza and just improving it as a tourist destination, getting people to stop and shop and spend some money in it. I don't think it needs as an extensive a renovation or refurbishment as we had originally costed out. It doesn't need to be operational. It's made out of parts of other planes that would piece together. It needs to look nice as a tourist attraction and be protected from the elements, to have the windows replaced primarily.
So, and just to follow up with Leslie's comment, I have reached out to numerous local businesses and have been excited about it, but unfortunately they're not able to proceed with projects. I've reached out to locals and I've reached out regionally and nobody's interested in doing it. So we continue to look for someone who would be interested in fixing up our plane for us. So the search goes on.
Any last questions? Anything else to add from anybody on council?
Charging patients on the side. It's not the parking lot.
Lisa's just asking if they're recharging, like the Tesla station can be moved to the side. I think that would be a major cost, to move it.
It's the Tesla's charge station are owned by Tesla, and they do have agreement to develop that particular spot, and as Leslie said, the cost is too much. You have to negotiate that with Tesla to move it over.
Are they paying taxes on that?
Yes, I don't know.
Oh, and there's revenue we can have.
Any last questions? Council, anything to add from anybody? Anybody want to say any closing remarks?
Thank you for everyone. Thank you everyone for all your questions and coming out tonight and giving your time to us. Thank you.
Thank you all. We will post the recording on YouTube within a couple of days, and we'll post the presentation on as well. Thank you.
Still done. What turns into what us? It is. I mean, I just.